Welcome, Internet world. Welcome to the Trail Life booth here
Here we are
at Turning Point USA AmericaFest. We have a incredible lineup scheduled for the next 3-4 days. I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yep.
Everybody's going to introduce themselves, but I am Kelly Love. I am the happy, proud father of 5, married to the beautiful Tiffany Love, and been with Trail Life for about 2 years. I handle all things events and sales, and touch a little marketing, touch a little bit of this, and stick my nose in places it shouldn't be at all the time. So that's my role here.
I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that over the next few days.
We will. Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Stephen Ashton. I have 4 boys, and we all are hailing from Greenville, South Carolina.
That's right.
I've been with Trail Life for about 8 years, but I love to tell the story a little bit about what brought me here. I ran a wilderness program for at-risk boys for about 15 years, and one of the things I saw when I was there, the one commonality was 95% of those boys didn't have a father in the home. And I thought, if we could do something where we could help churches across the country help these boys engage with men, I think it can make a huge difference culturally. And I got to sit down with Mark Hancock, who's our CEO, and he shared his heart for therapeutic foster care and boys. And it's been exciting over the last 8 years to see Trail Life just continue to blow up, to see churches capture the vision. It's often really difficult as a man to figure out how to step into some of those situations where boys really are looking for mentoring.
Right.
Mentoring often is just kind of awkward. You try to sit down and you have coffee with some young man, or you go to a youth group meeting and try to have some connection, and it just doesn't work. And Trail Life, through Outdoor Adventure, just provides such a natural way to do that. And so that's been really exciting. I love the mission of Trail Life, and love that we get to be part of what God's doing to grow this thing. And I'm excited to see what God's going to do this weekend.
And you got some kiddos too.
Did I mention my 4 boys?
You did. 4 boys.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. 18 down to 9.
You're
pretty proud dad.
That's right.
Never dull in my house, that's for sure.
That's awesome.
So my kids go from 27 to 5. I know I don't look that old, everybody.
You don't, Kelly.
Roy.
All right, Roy Baldwin, and I've only been with Trail Life 5 months, but it has been a thrilling 5 months. I'm the Chief Growth Officer here, and I've been married 30 years to my best friend in life, Karen. We have 3 kids, Nick, Ann, and Emily, 27, 22, and 18, and just really blessed. I really, when I think about my history, I don't have a lot of outdoor adventure history, but I do have a lot of background in Christian ministry and working with a lot of at-risk youth, like you, Stephen. My wife and I were house parents for almost 10 years at a residential school. I've worked with adjudicated youth. I could probably count on one hand the amount of active, healthy fathers in a lot of those vulnerable kids' lives. And so that's been such a motivating factor for me of why I wanted to be a part of Trail Life, to be part of that preventative work of how do we get dads engaged with their sons, and what better way of doing that is through Christ and outdoor adventure. So that's a little bit about us.
Awesome. Fantastic. What is Trail Life?
Yeah,
that's
a great segue, and you were talking about that a little bit. Well, we're Christ-centered.
That's right.
And we're boy-focused, and we're church-based. And those are 3 really important cornerstones for what we're doing. We believe the church is at the heart of what God's doing through the world, and if we aren't partnering with the local church to grow their ministry, then we're missing out on the heart of what God is doing. So that's so important. And what do? We use outdoor adventure as an on-ramp to connect boys with dads and dad likes. So many places in our culture, it seems like boys are getting the message they're defective.
That's right.
Wherever they go, it's come in and sit down and be still and do what you're told and behave like the girls. But boys aren't some kind of social disease that needs to be eradicated.
Right.
Boys aren't defective. I have 4 of them, and they are wide open. School sometimes is a challenge. Any parent who has boys for any length of time has experienced some difficulty in school.
Mark said last night, I thought this was a perfect line, at our pastor's dinner, Turning Point USA's pastor's dinner, which we're going to talk a little bit what happened at that pastor dinner in a little bit. But Mark said something that the world treats boys like defective girls.
We see that 100%. Yeah. And where does a boy go to find a space where it's really safe to be a boy? And that's what we want to provide here at Trail Life. A place where a boy can come and can experience adventure, who can be rambunctious. Maybe he can run through the halls of the church on that one night a week, potentially. But even better, the best Trail Life meetings don't happen in a church. The best ones happen outside.
That's right.
Where boys are running around and building campfires and experiencing adventure. Because really that's what Jesus did. When we look at Jesus' method of discipleship, when he built his relationship with Peter, it was a fishing trip. And I'll tell you, that was a fishing trip like no other. Peter done a lot of fishing.
That's right.
But he'd never had a fishing trip quite like that one. And Jesus caught his attention, and from there they went hiking, and they made fires, and they camped, and they went boating.
Something really special happens when guys are rubbing shoulder to shoulder out in the woods, on a trail, sitting around a campfire, where they let their guard down in a way that they don't on a Sunday morning
100%.
or a small group. When we meet for an hour and a half, that's way different than hanging out for 8 hours or 3 days out in the wild.
Well, we need to know what each other are made of, too. I don't trust you until I've had some kind of real experience with you.
Right.
That's right.
You and I can sit down and we can sip coffee and, and try to talk about our feelings at Starbucks, but it's never going to happen.
No.
It takes you getting out and backpacking or doing a canoe trip or sitting around a fire or going skiing and, watching you fall down the mountain.
Were you at my last ski trip? That's what happened.
Well, I think that's the beautiful part of, I think, Trail Life is the shared activity, the camaraderie that happens through that. And for me, that was one of the most attractive things about Trail Life, is at the heart of it is discipleship.
That's right.
At the heart of that is not just, it's like doing life together. And what way better way to do that by having shared activity, learning skill building, and with safe relationships, with safe adults. And that's what Trail Life embodies on so many levels.
We literally have a trail map to manhood.
Yeah, we do.
That starts with our 5-year-old Fox and goes all the way to the Freedom Award. And Kelly, I know you're passionate about the standard.
Yeah.
As such a great visual thing. I was in Boy Scouts. I have a Trail Life merit badge sash that sits in a box somewhere. But the standard is just a next level thing. You want to talk about? I know you love it, Kelly.
Well, I do love the standard, and we'll have it on camera at some point this weekend. But super excited that it represents for our Western culture something that every culture has had around for all of history, all of human history, and that is a rite of passage. And allows us to take a young man and put in front of him,
right,
this is what it looks like to the hard and the soft skills of masculinity,
right,
biblical masculinity. It's really a powerful thing. They earn all of those. They learn all of those things. And so I tell people around the country all the time, when you turn out a Freedom Rangeman, when he's accomplished all these things, he's probably the best leader that your community has turned out in 25 years. Because he understands what it means to be a man, not only in a cultural kind of secular sense, but he also understands that he's to provide for his family, that he is to protect, that he is the protector, that he is the lover of his family. So Christ-centered, boy-focused, we focus on boys, but the secret sauce, and one of the reasons that we're here at Turning Point USA, the secret sauce of what Trail Life does is we're like this incredible men's ministry, one of the best in the world.
100%.
Because of all the things that you mentioned. And what we saw with Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk being an archetype of kind of the boys that we turned out. A lot of people don't really know this, that Charlie Kirk was an Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts. And
Charlie Kirk loved Trail Life, actually.
Yeah.
We've met him a couple of times, and he was a fan.
That's right. And so he was bold. He was out there on the front lines. He stood for what he believed in. All of the things that it really embodied. And we see boys and men and young men all around this country right now kind of embracing that message. That's part of the reason we decided to come to Turning Point USA AmFest.
Well, last night at the pastoral the dinner that we sponsored, that was talked about how Charlie, we think about politics and culture. What Charlie was able to do is he really used that platform for the gospel, and so I think, to your point, Kelly, those are the kinds of boys and that we want to turn into men, and why Charlie represented that these aren't just cultural, temporal, figures. We want to create men that have a kingdom perspective.
Right.
And I would just say that in some ways, Trail Life tries to embody a kingdom perspective. We're not just a scouting alternative program. We really are not.
Right.
We are, I would say, kingdom first in our effort, and we do that through outdoor adventure. We do that by connecting young boys and young men with men who are ultimately in love with Jesus and can do this life together. And so I think that's one of the things that I think is what makes Trail Life so powerful and so successful at some level, which is why we love what we do and who we're about and what we're after. So
I tell you, one of the things I love about Trail Life and what I see is really missing in our world with so many games. So boys have video games, boys have relationships online, but they don't have those kind of interpersonal relationships.
So good.
And you've got, we have the troop model. And so my 5-year-old, my 9-year-old are looking up to the boys who are more advanced. And they also have this sphere that's their age, that they play with, that they learn from, that they lead one another in that patrol method that we use. And so having your boy around a whole group of boys who understand and want to embrace what it means to be a man is the most powerful thing you could give your young man right now in this world.
That's tremendous.
They want to grow up to be a godly man. And imagine 5 or 6 boys or 50 or 60 boys in a troop who all are seeking to raise the standard in their life, so to speak.
That's good. Go ahead, Stephen.
No, we're introducing a lot of topics we're going to spend more time on over the next few days.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of time together.
You're going to be hearing more. But one of the things that I think is instrumental with that, too, is there are a lot of discipleship programs out there that are really academic. And part of the problem with boys is they have ants in their pants. They don't want to sit still and listen to someone download information to them. They want to do something. And everything we're doing week in and week out at a meeting is hands-on. It's experiential. It's making faith come to life. And it's different than any other program that's out there. So you're coming to a weekly meeting and you're outdoors and you're doing hands-on things that you're experiencing and living that faith out. And then at least once a month, there's some kind of bigger adventure that you're going where you're experiencing things and you're doing the relational stuff that you're talking about, Kelly, where you're working hand in hand with some other guys, with other boys, and you're responsible. And that's another cornerstone. There aren't many places where boys are really responsible. There are plenty of places where boys are told what they should do. There are plenty of places where everything is laid out and a boy has a program that he's supposed to go through. But Trail Life is unique because the boy is planning the program.
That's good. That's well said.
We give that boy responsibility and we expect him to man up. We expect him to live up to that responsibility. And that's
what are you going to do
really
in this situation?
It's missing in our culture.
Yeah, totally. And again, what I love about that, Stephen, is there's so much social science and data, especially around human flourishing and children flourishing and resilience and grit that support our model, right? And so we are really producing, just not men, responsible men, but godly men. Yeah. And that's why I love Trail Life so much. Let's shift a little bit because I want to talk about why are we here. I think that's important. I think that's important because I think this is an important conversation to have because we debated a lot about this time, the opportunity for Trail Life, which is to be here at AmericaFest is really out of the box for us.
Well, we're not a political organization.
We're not a political organization, right?
And it's not who we want to be. We're evangelistic, and if our platform is taking away from someone experiencing Christ, that's not where we want to be. But yeah, this is good.
It is good, and so, but you're right, Stephen. We are not a political organization, and no desire to be a political organization at all. But when we talk about boyhood and we talk about masculinity, and we're going to talk a lot about data, and we'll talk a lot about that over the next few days. But when we look at the data on boys, we are having an epidemic crisis among our boys, and we have something to say about that, which is why we're here.
That's right.
We want to defend boyhood and manhood in a way that ultimately is pointing people back to Jesus. And so that's why we're going to step out into a space that at some level, which is kind of crazy to think about, is why is that even controversial?
Right.
Why has
100%.
Why has this become a political statement? And it has. But we're comfortable with that to step into that space because we do have something really powerful to say about that.
Well, and when we look at what God's done with, in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death and the way that we're seeing a revival among men, we're seeing so many young people come back to church and say, man, what was that all about? And they're hungry and they're curious. And where young men are looking for faith is where Trail Life is going to be. And how do we connect those boys and those young men with mentors and people who could speak into their life? And this is a great space to find people who are bold and courageous, who want to take a stand. Turning Point Faith has really grown tremendously in that wake of those things.
It has.
And so if we're looking at where God's working and we want to see Trail Life grow and we want to impact the lives of boys and men, this makes a lot of sense.
It does. Kelly.
Yeah, I saw a T-shirt earlier today, and the T-shirt said, "It's biblical, not political." And I thought that's, we have a call to be in the highways and the byways from our Lord and Savior.
Right.
To go in the highways and byways, and this is culturally relevant. So let's just take some of the spiritualness out of it. The whole world is watching this event, and we want to be here with clarity and scripture and biblical truth.
Absolutely.
And we want to defend masculinity. So to anybody out there really who says, why are you guys at that political thing? Because God's called us to be in the highways and byways, point blank. And I think we need to get serious. And there's a vacuum. I think the larger Christian church, we talked about it at the pastor's event last night.
Right.
There's been a vacuum in culture because the church has said, well, we're going to stay away from politics. And yet we tell our people to go vote and we don't know. And I'm not trying to get political here, but for anybody who says you shouldn't be in that space, you shouldn't be there, well, we're going to be in the highways. We're going to be where, like Stephen said, where boys matter and boys are hungry for the truth. We want to be the light on a shining hill.
Right.
Or shining light on a hill. Right?
That too. Yeah, both of those things.
We want to be the salt and light of our culture.
Right.
That's what God's called us to do, and so that's why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I'm processing a little bit in regards to our role as a Trail Life as let's have the conversation. And I think, Stephen, you'll do a good job of putting this in its perspective. And Kelly, you too. It really is when we think about Trail Life, we don't really consider ourselves a parachurch organization.
We are not.
So explain why we are not, because I think that's an important part of why we are here, because we're seeing the epidemic among boys. And so we are trying to raise the tide for all ships when it comes to this conversation. But I think our distinction of why we don't call ourselves a parachurch is really important by why we're here. So why is that?
Yeah. Kelly, I know that's one you're actually really, really passionate about. Do you want to take a first stab at that?
Yeah, at Trail Life, we believe in the ecclesia. We believe in the church. And we believe that God's going to reveal himself to the world through the church. And so that's why we partner with over 1,500 troops at churches at this point. And the passion behind the ecclesia and what we see God doing has caused us to not become a ministry in and of ourselves. So we partner. So we don't rent space in the basement of a church.
Well, and we can't, right?
Right.
I mean, the way charters are set up, we are a ministry of that church. So the pastor has to come on board and say, hey, we are looking for a way to engage men. We're looking for a way to build boys, and we're looking for a means to grow our church.
Yep.
And when we sit down and we have intentional conversations with those pastors about what is this going to look like for your ministry, and how as Trail Life do we become a part of the men's ministry and the youth ministry and the boys ministry, and that's a new category for a lot of pastors. When we began this, pastors aren't thinking about boys ministry. There's a huge need, but a lot of pastors across the country aren't thinking about it, and they don't even know how to approach it because it's such a different idea.
Right. And so I say all the time that a pastor has to come and plant the flag that this is a ministry of our church.
This is his ministry.
That's right.
This is his church. Now, as much as, and I want to be careful that the pastor isn't the church, right? This is run by the men, and a lot of times it's a dad or a mom or someone who says, boy, I need this for my son. Sometimes it's a single mom who says, my son desperately needs this kind of mentoring, and they go to the pastor and say, I want this for my son, and I see this tremendous need in my community for someone who could step up and speak into the life of my son, and would you be willing to bring this into our church? And so there are a lot of avenues to bring trail life in, but it has to come through the church because that's how God works.
That's right.
Yeah, actually, last night at the pastor dinner, we had a pastor's wife come up. They have a single mom in their church, and she took a picture of our table with our QR code, sent it to her, and it's like, I'm going to immediately sign my son up because, again, that single mom is looking for men who can speak into that, and so I absolutely loved that last night.
Yeah,
we have a pastor's wife who know the needs. And this is an extension of who they are. It's an opportunity for them to grow and build who they are as a church. And so, and I do think that's really powerful and unique when it comes to, what we believe about the church, our role with the church, and how we can come alongside the church to be the best version that they can possibly be, and understanding masculinity when it comes to boys and what that looks like, and giving them the tools to do that. But it's not ours, right? It's simply equipping and inspiring them
of that church.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is really interesting, if you're a pastor out there and you're thinking like, Trail Life, this sounds really cool, potentially we need something for our boys. One thing I want to encourage you with is the fact that, what are you doing with the talented, godly men in your church? Are you putting a vest on them to park cars on a Sunday morning? Really?
There's nothing wrong with that. They need to park cars. I don't want to poo-poo men parking cars. If you're in a church and you're parking cars, thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Because that is very necessary. But there may be some other skills God's given you too, and we want to provide a space for you to do that. So
thank you for your service. But men are meant to pour into the next generation.
That's right.
And we've got men in churches all they check the box all the time of serving the church and serving the needed church.
Often.
They do want.
Yeah.
And Trail Life is that thing where they can pour into the next generation, to their son.
That's right.
And other people's sons, the single mom's son.
That's right.
Really powerful way to engage them in your church into something that benefits the church. The other thing I love about us being partnered with churches is we're this incredible growth engine for a church. 1 out of 5 guys who join the troop from outside in the community, after they join the troop, will join the church. 1 out of 5. That's
1
20%.
out of 5.
That's a great statistic, Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine going and sharing that, right? By the way, we can help you grow your church by simply starting and chartering an Oregon troop with Trail Life.
There are no other outreach programs like that.
Yeah, who else can have that?
Yeah.
And again, that's part of what I feel like how God has really given us incredible favor. But part of that is because we believe in this process, right? We have this proven process when it comes to developing that. And 10 years, I mean, it's amazing. I think one of the things that amazes me is when I look around the region, across the U.S., and I look at our volunteer army and what they do and how they pour themselves out, who are already active in their churches, active business leaders, and then they pour themselves out for a greater mission than themselves. That is probably, I mean, I'm impressed with the talent we have within the office, but when you start expanding our borders and really seeing what's happening on the ground, it's no wonder why when people get involved with us, that they're joining and becoming a part of a church. You know what I mean? It's just, they're becoming part of this larger kingdom movement that even surprised me at how powerful that is, coming into Trail Life.
Well, our annual report this year, Matt did a great story. It's called Don't Invite Me to Church. And it's a story of a dad who came into the Trail Life troop, and he wanted it for his son, but he didn't want any of the Jesus stuff. He'd grown up in church. He'd had his family had been kicked out of church when he was young, and he'd had a really bad experience. And he showed up and said, I want this for my son, but please don't invite me to church. And he came and began to show up to meetings, and he did things with his son, and he went camping and hiking. He started developing relationships with these men in the church. And eventually his wife saw something was changing in him.
Wow.
And she said, man, there's something going on. And she wanted to come to church. And so he ended up bringing his family to church, and that man is a pastor now. If you go to our website, go to traillifeusa.com and go to our resource library and put in Don't Invite Me to Church. And that story is there on the website. And those are the kinds of things, that are happening all across the country.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we're going to have 4 days of this. And there's going to be so much more, and I think that's one of the things that really excited about us kind of having, Media Row open, and why we wanted to really kind of dip our toes a little bit into really talking about who we are, why we do what we do, and a lot of the different people that are speaking into this. And so you're gonna get to meet some of our Freedom Rangemen over the next.
That's gonna be incredible.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to meet some of the young men that have gone through our Freedom Rangemen and gone through the program, meeting with different partners, different other kind of friends of the ministry. We're going to have our CEO Mark Hancock on at some point, and really excited about having conversations with him as well. And so I'm really looking forward to hanging out with you guys the next few days, and with you all. Would love to hear from you if you have questions or thoughts. We're monitoring a lot of what you're doing, or have questions for us. Send those in. We'd love to interact with you as well. And really looking forward to these next few days.
And you can help spread the message of trail life. So you can like, share, and comment.
Yeah, love it. Subscribe.
And tell your friends we're going to be broadcasting all weekend.
We are.
And some of the things we're going to do, we have incredible interviews set up. We've got the CEO of American Heritage Girls is going to be here. We've got Steve Deese.
Steve Deese, yeah.
Steve Deese is going to be here. Just incredible lineup of interviews that'll be happening at sporadic moments. We're going to do a walk around and do man on the street kind of segments as well. So you'll get to see a lot of what's happening here at Turning Point USA, and kind of get the sense and the vibe of what's happening. And then we hope to tell you what's going on. Just right over here to our right, across the hallway from us, there's a guy wearing an American flag cape.
Kelly, you've been talking about that guy for quite a while here, actually. You were talking about that an hour before we were ever on air, so...
it's just impressive.
That is
we've got a lady in blue sequence jacket over in front of us.
I think their booth is Make America Sparkle again, and she is definitely representing the sparkle here, that's for sure. Oh, you know what? We missed the biggest intro. We couldn't even be doing this if it wasn't for Light Symphony.
Pro,
and how they have just put this together for us here, and just a great partner, and so appreciate Ethan and Micah, and I wish if you could see them, but they're doing a lot of heavy hitting for us, making us look hopefully semi-good.
And we were joking.
Or sound good.
We were joking before that's going to be their new promo. It's going to be our picture of this, and they're just going to say, if we can make these guys look good, we can make anybody look good.
That is great. That is great. All right.
Yeah, a lot happening today.
Well, can we take a break, and we will be back in five minutes or so? Does that sound good?
Now, Ethan told me we can't just cut the break. We have to give him a little bit of warning, though, because he's going to have to hit some buttons over there.
Hey, we're doing this for the first time.
Here we go. Are we ready?
Counting down. All right.
Hey guys. Hey, we're the Wild Brothers. I'm Morgan. This is Hudson, Kian, and Asher. Just so you know, Wild is actually our last name. And we did happen to grow up in Southeast Asia, in virgin jungles, tropical islands, and so we did have a pretty wild upbringing. And we were over there as Christian missionaries, taking the gospel of Jesus Christ to places where it had never been heard. And so we had a pretty awesome childhood.
Yeah, and over the years we've been documenting our lives via video, making epic adventures to share people here in the States to inspire them that following Christ is the ultimate adventure.
But now we're in a new season of life, living here in America, and we are so excited to partner with Trail Life USA to bring you guys trail hacks. These are skills, tips, know-how, everything you need to become a better trailman. And the first one is going to be premiering soon, so we are just really excited.
And we'll see you guys on the trail. Catch you later.
I came in as a boy, and I'm leaving as a young man.
They're developing lifelong friends, and they're being pushed beyond what they think their limitations are.
It's helped me with the importance of leadership, because before Trail Life, I literally did nothing.
As a mom, I love the fact that I know that our son is involved in a Christ-centered, boy-focused group. We're confident that he's in a safe environment, that he's getting the mentorship and leadership of men who have the type of foundation that we need him him to get.
I've never really been able to talk in public, and being in trail life, everyone's so accepting of you, and that really helped me become who I am and who God wants me to be.
Me and my dad, we really didn't talk a lot, and my mom wanted my dad to go. He was like, sure, I'll go, so he asked off for work and he went. And ever since then, me and my dad's relationship has gotten closer.
Experience the trail life difference. Find a troop near you or start one today by visiting www.traillifeusa.com.
Today the competition is on. My brothers and I are going head to head to see who is the best trail cook. You guys are watching Trail Hacks. A lot of people have asked us who is the best cook. Well, today we're going to decide. We're going to all compete against each other to see who can make the best trail meal. I'm gonna start us off with cooking in a pit. It's a full meal in a pit. It's basically creating a crock pot, you know, pressure cooker in the ground using the natural resources around us. And it's amazing a technique I learned in the jungle from my really good friends, the Wana people. Can't wait to show you how to do it. First step is to heat up the rocks. Be careful with which rocks you use. This one, see how it's already broken? Some rocks, when they get up to heat, they actually explode, they shatter. So don't use like shale, really weak, soft rocks. Those tend to shatter, explode. Use really hard quartz-like rocks that won't. But even then, keep your distance when you're cooking your rocks, just in case one happens to pop. So here's my pit. I've already dug it. The next step is to line it with leaves. What I'm using is these large palmetto leaves. They're actually pretty perfect. You want something large and kind of like a fan. So I'm gonna go ahead and line the bottom of it and the sides with these leaves, and this will protect my food from getting dirty. To transfer the hot rocks into our pit, we need some tongs so we can grab them. I'm making my own homemade one with a piece of wood, basically a small branch. I'm just gonna split it down the middle. Definitely be careful, have someone supervise you if you're using a small hatchet or machete. You can also just use regular large steak tongs and skip this process. I've let my fire kind of die down, and so that's what you want. Now it's just all a bunch of embers. The rocks are smoking hot, so it's time to transfer the rocks into the pit. Man, the smell brings back so many good memories of growing up in the jungle. And I'm feeling so confident I'm gonna crush this competition. This is awesome. This looks great. I got a bed of collard greens. Now I'm gonna put in these 4 beautiful little pieces of corn. And I'm gonna get my potatoes. And now, time for my meat. I'm gonna put some hot rocks wrapped in some leaves on top of my food. This will help cook it. And then I'm gonna wrap this thing up. The pit is finally complete. Now it's the fun part. We get to fold all these leaves. Be very careful. I would even advise putting some gloves on. And that's going to hold all my leaves in place. And I think that is a wrap. Now it's just a waiting game. We gotta let all this cook down. It's super hot. You can see all the steam just coming out of this. That steam is what cooks the food. The boys are gonna be super impressed. I think I'm gonna win this competition.
So today I've been nominated to be the judge. Hudson, Key, and Asher are going to try to pull off some exceptional dish or beverage that you'd cook on the trail. And depending on how it goes, this could be a great experience or a bad one. Trail food is notorious for being, you know, rustic.
It is smelling amazing. The delicate aroma of like the greens and the sweet potatoes is telling me that I think it's time to uncover. Oh no, it's not finished cooking. It's not finished cooking yet. So this is what I was a little bit worried about when I was first covering up the pit. There's a couple of noticeable areas where the steam was just really pouring out, and I think I should have used more palmetto leaves. I think I have enough cooked where I can present it to Morgan, but this could really dampen my chances of winning this competition.
So what do we have here? This looks awesome.
Yeah, so pit style cooking, corn on the cob, sweet potato, a piece of nice succulent beef, and then collard greens.
And you did all this in a pit, huh?
Yeah.
So you used hot rocks?
Style.
Okay.
Exactly.
It's a pretty advanced technique. This looks good. I'm ready to try it.
Enjoy.
Really good. Perfect, Hudson. Look at that. Man, you went the extra mile. It's amazing how those rocks can... Oh, you know, Hudson? Looking slightly raw there. A little chewy. All right, let's try the sweet potato. Nice and soft. Perfect. This was really good, Hudson. I think you made a couple mistakes. I will judge at the very end once I've tried all the dishes. Thank you so much.
Hey guys, stay tuned and watch the rest of the episodes to find out who wins the competition. If you guys liked the video, like and subscribe below. If you're interested in learning more about trail life, go over to their website, traillifeusa.com, and find a troop near you. If you're interested in the Wild Brothers, my brothers and I, and our adventures, go over to our website, wildbrothersproductions.com.
We thought this ministry first and foremost was to boys, helping them become courageous young men. But the secret for us was that as the dads got together, the dads bonded just as much as the young men did.
As we mentor each other's sons, we get mentored ourselves.
There's the spiritual nourishment.
Eventually, the parents start to realize they are part of it. There's so many opportunities to use whatever skill that those dads may have.
I'm not a very good outdoorsman, but the good thing about trail life is that you don't have to be an outdoorsman.
I've heard men saying, man, I'm looking forward to this weekend coming up. I think even more than my son is. Come to life together as we experience adventures.
It's given me an opportunity to be around other Christian men who are sharpening me, who are challenging me, who are showing me new ways to reach my son.
The boys were sharing their testimonies, and one of our adults was really touched that, hey, you're a Christian, but he was missing that relationship with the Lord, and it was because of those boys sharing their personal testimonies. His spiritual growth from that point has been phenomenal.
Hey guys, we're here at the Ark Encounter up in Kentucky, and I'm here with Mr. Kent and Mr. CJ. And these guys are veteran trailmen, they're experts. So they're gonna show me a couple different ways of how to make a fire using all different kinds of resources. You guys are watching Trail Hacks.
Okay, so here we are with a table with different ideas of way to start fires with something you might find in your house, might find in your day pack, might find out in the wilderness. But we've got Clifford Joe here from Wisconsin and his dad CJ. How can we use a magnifying glass to start a fire, Clifford Joe?
Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to find where the sun is. Basically, right now the sun's directly above us.
The sun's above. Oh yeah, there we go.
Then what you want to do, you take your magnifying glass and you want to make a tiny pinpoint with it. See?
That's awesome, man. Very effective. The magnifying glass is handy for looking at little insects and stuff, but also making fires.
Oh yeah.
That's so cool.
I'm going to take this ferro rod and I'm going to throw it into a piece of cotton ball. Now the trick with this is to pay attention and not do it up in the air, but to bring it right down and throw a spark right into the cotton ball. That quick.
Wow.
This is a confidence builder for a young man. You get a young man out there to throw a spark into a cotton ball, he's got confidence knowing that he can do something effective to survive, to stay warm, to provide a flame to start a fire so they can cook. CJ, you have some actual flint and steel, correct?
Yes, sir.
This is called a char cloth. It's actually a piece of blue jean.
Nice.
Like this.
Okay.
So we cooked it off, put that over a camp stove or a fire or some coals.
Interesting.
And the ports let the gases escape and the smoke escape. And when it stops pumping gas and smoke out, you open it up and you'll have char cloth in there. But you take the char cloth, it's going to catch the spark, because the spark from these guys is not going to be anywhere near that of the ferrocerium rod. You may not even be able to see that. See that little spark that come off?
Yep.
That's about all you're going to get. That's what the char cloth is for. It's all carbon-based material now that we've cooked the impurities out of it. And you want to make sure that is along the edge of your flint where you're going to be striking it.
One of those sparks will land on that char cloth and create an ember. And once he does the ember,
super cool.
put it in the little bird's nest that we created.
There we go. Caught it. So it's just generally starting to get red in there.
You get one?
Yes, sir.
Smoke. Watch the smoke.
I'd never seen that.
That is actually flint and steel. This is an actual flint nap.
And it's a dull piece of flint, but it still works.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do you find flint?
In the woods, in the creek beds.
Yeah.
So let's show the battery in the steel wool there.
You just take a battery that you might have in your weather radio or walkie-talkie or something, and
a little 9-volt.
Yeah, a little 9-volt battery, and you take some steel wool, and you just touch those terminals. It's almost instant that it catches that steel wool on fire.
Wow.
And then you should be able to put your.
There you go. It's catching a spark.
But it's there you go.
Wow.
So steel is a conductor of electricity, metal, but it's in a open where air can go through it. It's not a solid piece of steel. It's really thin shreds of metal. Really unique ways to start a fire.
Yeah, I'd never seen that done before. That is super cool.
Yeah.
One thing that was common throughout all the techniques, it's like the more fuel that you give the fire, man, the bigger it gets, the more it can do for you. And it's kind of reminds me of our relationship with God's Word. It's the same thing. It's like, man, if we want to really be active, if we want to be able to grow and be useful, we have to be fueled by God's Word. As a believer, that's what really gives us the life, you know?
And you got to work at it too, because you got to prepare more stores of fuel for the fire.
A fire needs to be continually tended to, just like we need to continually tend to the Lord.
Well, Mr. Kent, Mr. CJ, thanks so much for teaching me some really practical new ways to make a fire.
Sure.
I can't wait to implement this the next time I'm on the trail. If you guys have liked and enjoyed the video, like and subscribe below. And consider joining Trail Life. Go to their website, traillifeusa.com, find a troop near you. And if you're interested in finding more adventures of the Wild Brothers, myself and my brothers, go to wildbrothersproductions.com. See you guys. Hi everyone, this is Hudson Wild. And if you remember from last episode, we're stuck on this beach, and it's my job to find food for everyone. I'm gonna go try to catch some fish using the hand line technique. You're watching Trail Hack. Today I'm going to be using a hand line technique for fishing. And what's great about this method is that you don't need a pole. Oftentimes poles are large, they're inconvenient to carry around, especially when you're doing any kind of hiking. And in our case for today, there just wasn't a lot of room in the canoe, so I brought along my hand line. This is a technique of fishing I learned in Indonesia growing up as a missionary kid. A lot of the locals over there in Indonesia, they don't have fishing poles, they don't make them, but they do use hand lines. Whoa, all right, we got a big school of bait fish here. This is perfect, this is just what I need for a bait. This giant black blob is actually a huge school of fish. So I'm gonna try to corral them closer to the beach. And if I get close enough, I can kick a couple up on shore, and these will be my bait. This log gives a great vantage point, but I'm not seeing any kind of large fish in the area. It's too shallow here. I'm gonna keep walking down the shore. This location looks like it has a little bit more potential. I'm gonna show you how to make a standard fishing rig for a hand line. And what's really nice and easy about this rig, super simple, straightforward, and it has the weight on the bottom of the rig. That means it has that weight that you can have to throw out, and it'll send the line out. Step number one, you tie the weight on here at the very bottom with a simple knot like this. And then about, I'm gonna say a foot, sometimes even a little bit more above the weight, you're gonna make this little loop here and a nice standard knot tied around like this. Whip this through, pull it through, tighten it. There you go. And then you're gonna put this loop through the eye of the hook. Just string it through, just like that. You're gonna take this and you're gonna put it around the hook. And then you just pull the hook and it'll tighten on itself. One thing I love about fishing is that Jesus' disciples, many of them were actually fishermen. And when he called his disciples, some of them were even in their fishing boats, and he said, come follow me. And they threw down their nets and they went and followed him. And later on in Jesus' ministry, he actually used fishing as an example. And he told his disciples, hey, I'm gonna make you guys fishers of men. Come follow me, I'm gonna make you guys fishers of men. And what he meant is that they were gonna be his tools, his ambassadors to go out and to make disciples, to share the good news of how to be saved with others. We in the same way are also called to be Christ's disciples and his ambassadors and fishers of men, which means our job, one of our purposes in life, is to share the good news. We should really steward that and use it to the best of our abilities. We need to be sharing it with others. So I would encourage all of you guys, you young trailmen, man, don't be ashamed of the gospel. Don't be scared of it, but be bold followers of Christ, willing to witness to others so that people who have never heard might come to a saving faith in Jesus Christ. Oh. Fish on. I got one, guys. Woo! We got dinner tonight. This right here is a little pinfish. See, the free line technique is very effective. Very minimalistic. You don't need a pole or a bunch of gear. Just a simple line, weight, and hook. Works almost every time. Thanks for watching Trail Hacks. If you guys enjoyed the video, like or subscribe below. And if you're not already connected to Trail Life and would like to become a member or join a troop, go to traillifeusa.com. And if you're interested in seeing more adventures of the Wild Brothers, go to our website, wildbrothersproductions.com. Thanks, guys. The competition is coming to an end.
All right. Well, welcome back to AmericaFest.
So I'm gonna make some trail bread, and then Morgan's gonna.
I'm Roy Baldwin, and to my left is Kelly Love, and to my right is Stephen Ashton. And behind the cameras is Light Symphony .pro. Right? Did I get that right, Ethan?
If we can make these guys look good, we'll make anybody look good.
That's going to be your tagline.
It's their new slogan.
That's their new slogan. Well, we're really excited. If you've missed the first part of that, I'd so encourage you to go back and look about, we talked a lot about trail life and why we're here at AmericaFest. And so go check that out. But what we wanted to do, so when we thought about coming to this a few months ago, it really was a decision we made just a couple months ago.
It's hard to believe.
It really is. And it's hard to imagine that, we had ideas and it's coming to life right now. So that's pretty incredible. But so much has come together at this moment. But one of the biggest things that we wrestled with is, what do we come to this conference with? Like, what's our message? Mm-hmm. And I think just coming here and introducing a lot of people to Trail Life, because I think a lot of people do not know who we are. And if you do, usually it's like, just even standing here, people walking by like, Trail Life, yeah! Like, that's awesome to see. But we didn't want to just come here and talking about Trail Life. We really wanted to come here with the idea of launching a new campaign for Trail Life. And that new campaign we're calling The Why Matters. And so we're going to talk. This next segment is really unpacking this important messaging, why now, and why is this so core to who we are. And I really love it. And it's one of those things where we talked about, it's like, we love this idea. It came out of a marketing meeting with our staff, and this was birthed out. Part of the challenge was like, can we pull this together quickly? And I think we did. I think we pulled it off in a lot of great ways. So let's talk a little bit about why matters. I'm going to turn to you, Stephen, because I think initially when we started talking about that, part of that was, what is the core message of why matters? So I'm going to go ahead and just allow you to explain a little bit about why this is so important for us right now.
Well, every boy grows up asking why. If you've ever had a young son in your home, you know the endless barrage of why questions that come. Why is the sky blue? Why does the fire crackle? What am I, as a kid, why does the moon follow my car? Anybody else? Why does the moon follow my car? That's never been a thing. No. I remember laying in the back. I came from a different time.
That's great.
I would lay in the back of the station wagon and I would look up at the sky and I was sure the moon was following my car. And my dad didn't understand that at first either. Why is the moon? No, the moon's not following the car. But I was quite certain as a young man. If you're out there and you understand what I'm talking about, please go ahead and comment, because I was sure. Kelly, moon following the car, is that for you? No?
No.
Only me.
Yeah, only you. That's okay.
All right.
Steve. That's okay.
You probably have smarter kids than us.
Well,
or you were smarter than us.
I was dumber than you, one of the two. I don't know.
I'm going to go with smarter, Stephen.
Well, I thought the moon followed my car. I don't know if that makes me smart or not, but... Why do birds fly, right? Why can't I fly?
Right.
But these kinds of questions just come naturally.
Yeah.
And boys want answers, and those answers don't make them defective. It
Right.
doesn't mean there's something wrong,
right.
even though it drives us crazy as parents sometimes.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that, and really, as we grow, we have bigger and bigger why questions. And some of those are even more challenging. Why is there evil? Why do bad things happen? I mean, there are a lot of things we could dig into that start to point to deeper meaning. For us at Trail Life, though, our ultimate why is a relationship with Christ. The answer to all those questions is found in the pages of Scripture and who God is. And one of the other real core questions for us as men, and it's defined by this idea of a relationship with Christ, is what does it mean to be a man? Mm-hmm. And culture's gotten so confused about that. We alluded to this a little bit in our last segment, the idea that boys, coming to believe they're defective girls, there must be something wrong with me.
Right.
Because everywhere I go, I'm told to come in and sit down and be still and do what I'm told and talk about my feelings and behave like the girls, and I don't seem to measure up in any of these areas, and so there must be something wrong with me. And so how do we help boys answer that question? Because the why does matter. Boys and girls, this is something that's so controversial to say anymore in our culture, and it's crazy that it's controversial. But we say it all the time, and I think most of you out there would agree with us, and that is that boys and girls are different.
That's right.
And everybody's cheering.
That's right.
Out in internet land.
That's right.
Before we get into some of the details about masculinity and why, let's define the why matters a little bit.
Sure.
Because it's not the questions. It's not Simon Sinek say, the why is everything. No. It is the Y chromosome that we're communicating.
That's right.
And so, Roy, kind of explain that a little bit. What does that define it for us really well?
Yeah, so, I think this was getting at the heart. So, if you are familiar with Trail Life, one of the books that Mark Hancock wrote was Let Boys Be Boys.
Let Boys Be Boys.
And part of that was really defining, some level boyhood, but masculinity. And part of what defines God's design is the Y chromosome, right? So how do you can tell a man from a woman? It is you go at the very DNA level, chromosome level of his design. And so for us, boyhood is defined by the XY chromosome. And so when we were thinking about let boys be boys, part of that is you cannot be a boy without that chromosome.
That's right.
And so for us, this is wanting to point back to the original design, creation narrative, and ultimately who we are as an organization, and talking about the importance of boyhood, ultimately masculinity.
Yeah, fantastic. Somebody said last night, I think it was Mark actually, said that a Supreme Court justice in our land can't tell us what a woman is.
Right.
So how in the world is a 9-year-old, 12-year-old, 13, 14, 15-year-old boy going to tell us what it means to be a man? When our whole culture is. And so really we're saying, standing on the table, waving a flag, we embrace what it means to be masculine in this culture, in this world, in the calling that God has on each one of our lives.
And for us at Trail Life, right, it's not just who you are, right? It's not just who. In answering that question, it's not just who he is, a boy, but whose he is.
That's right.
Right. So for us, it is masculinity defined by Christ that we find in the Scriptures, and we look to the many models that we have within the Scriptures to define that. Obviously, Jesus is a big part of that, but it's also in the design of how do boys learn about what it means to be a man. It's through the family. It's through the father. It's through fatherhood.
That's right.
That a boy learns about what it means to do that. And we talked about that earlier in the sense that, we believe that is modeled, right? And so, but that ultimately is by the family. It's through the father relationship. Obviously, that takes on many different roles and father figures, and so this isn't just fatherhood themselves, coaches and teachers, and there's so many people that can step into that father role, but there's something powerful about that role.
That's right.
And when it's neglected, is it any wonder then why our boys are suffering right now and in crisis?
One of the things I love about the Why Matters is kind of a reframing of our Christ-centered boy focus.
Yes.
And that boy focus side of things, and that we unapologetically do not allow girls into Trail Life. We've taken a hard stance that boys need a place to be boys. Boys need a place to learn to grow into how to be a man.
Right.
And we do that unapologetically here.
So you're saying we're not anti-girl?
No, we're not. We're not the what was that television show in the 50s? Little Rascals, the
Little Rascals.
He-Man woman hating club.
That's right.
We're not that. We like girls. I love my wife. Yeah, I love my daughters.
Well, we love
Have
God's
to.
design, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and we want to create the kind of men that those girls out there are looking for.
So I was in Spokane, Washington a couple of months ago. 8,000 people in the audience, and the loudest cheer I got was when I asked ladies if the world needed more masculinity, and they went crazy. They went, "Ah, yes!" Moms were screaming it for their daughters. Daughters were screaming it because they're trying to find a man to marry and someone who's going to provide and protect for them, love them well.
Yeah. So,
well, we live in a time, masculinity. If we have an issue with masculinity, we go off one of two rails. It's either strength gone away, or strength gone awry. We're seeing more and more.
Say that again?
Yeah, we see strength gone away, or we see strength gone awry. 20 years ago, when I began working with at-risk boys at the camp, there were a lot of really angry boys.
Yeah.
We dealt with a lot of angry kids who had parents who they felt like were squelching their freedom, and they were rebellious, and they were angry, and they were pushing back. And the late 80s, early 90s, that was a lot of what we're seeing, and things have shifted. I feel like we've seen a big shift in our culture where boys have been told you can be anything you want to be. And then they get into life and they start finding out that's not true. They get raised on video games and video games are addictive for boys. They have the formula, right? If you want to get a guy's attention, you give him a challenge, something just a little bit outside of what he thinks he can do, and then you let him master that, and then you give him the next bigger challenge and the next bigger challenge. The problem with the challenges in video games is there's no real world accomplishment. And so instead of becoming braver and bolder, they realize that I can get the same dopamine hit, I can get the same experience without doing anything. And so we're seeing boys, and instead of rising to the challenge and becoming men who are taking on more and more, they are learning that they can get this without any effort, and so they start to struggle. And more and more, I see a generation of apathetic boys. The number of boys living at home is higher than it's ever been. Men are failing to launch, they're not going on to careers, they're not going on to jobs. And it's a real problem, and I feel like Trail Life is a big part. We have a real answer for some of what's going on there.
Two areas it's affecting our boys. Two things are feeding our boys a pseudo adventure, video games,
that's right,
and pseudo relationships, pornography. And so I found it really, really interesting. 36% of men 29 and younger. So I just said a 30-year-old man has never approached a woman in person. They've done it digitally.
Wow.
Are they getting that fill through pornography?
And women are upset about that.
They are very upset about it, and it's unbelievable. I can't even imagine that statistic. It's 70% of moms will look at their 18-year-old and say to themselves, and this is a true stat. I'll get a quote, and I'll give you guys a quote later.
So there's a fake stat you're going to give us later.
Later's
this one's
fake
true?
stat.
Okay,
Yes,
just
later.
make sure I've got this, Kelly.
67% of all statistics are made up. So 70% of moms will look at their boys when they're 18 and say, he's not ready for the world. Just let that sit for a second.
Yeah.
And 29-year-olds, it's actually, I got that quote wrong. It's actually 2/3 of men 29 years and younger have never approached a woman in person. Because we're feeding our boys fake adventure and fake relationships through pornography.
Right. Yeah, it's fantasy.
And they become addicted to it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have to go out.
Yeah.
I don't have to go out and conquer the world. I don't have to go out and win a princess, because I can get it digitally.
Strength gone away.
And parents are dropping $700 for a gaming system and giving it to their kids, and because it keeps their kids out of their hair.
Yeah.
That reminds me, so the longitudinal study that Vern Bankston did, I think it's about 15 years ago now, where they surveyed 3,500 individuals, 350 families over 35 years. One of the largest longitudinal studies ever done on faith transmission, right? And so went all the way back to the silent generation, all the way up to millennials. And what they discovered in terms of faith transmission, the number one influencer in that is mom and dad. And dad far surpasses mom. Not to say that dad is more important than mother, but it emphasizes the role of that. And they looked at the mother-father relationship, but it wasn't just from a faith transmission perspective what was being taught. It wasn't just skills. It wasn't just getting them to church and reading the Bible and doing devotions and praying together. It wasn't just that. It actually was the presence of a father and mother, a safe presence, I would say a healthy presence.
So good.
And those kids' lives that ultimately was the igniter of their faith. And that's exactly what we're talking about, right? Is when you have a mother and father engaged, regardless of what's happening in culture, regardless of what's happening in social media, the stronger that bond is, the safer that bond is. That is the catalyst for faith. It's a catalyst for discipleship and understanding then who you are in Christ. And they're helping answering that why question for not just our boys, but for our daughters too. I mean, obviously we're specifically talking about boys, but that gives its proper perspective. It puts it in its proper place and understands not just what I need to do for my life, but understands it from a generational perspective that I am simply from a father. I have a son, he's 27, that I'm at some level handing the baton off to him about the things that I hold true, about the things that I believe about life and relationships and politics and all of those kinds of things. But it really is that powerful presence that we share within the family. And I think that speaks very well into defining that why.
Well, that is
multi-generationally.
That is so good. Something that reminded me about that study, and I'm reminded of in other studies, the father is always transmitting, even when he doesn't realize.
Even when he doesn't.
And even when he's absent.
That's right.
And even when he's complacent. And even so it is this intentional transmission that I think Trail Life allows guys to do with their sons. To be intentional about the transmission that you're giving them.
Yeah, because even if you talk with men who, and we see this a lot who've got a father wound or didn't have an active father in their life, that defines them even more if the father was present, right?
That's right.
And so to your point is we're transmitting something as men. We're transmitting something as fathers, and what we want to do, especially at Trail Life, is give that purpose and direction that ultimately leads to the outcomes that you long for, which is not to pass that absenteeism generationally to your grandkids or your great-grandkids.
Well, that's so huge. On our Why Matters webpage, the-y-matters.com, one of the statistics
Say it again, Stephen.
Yeah, there we go. the-y-matters.com.
That's a good radio voice.
It is.
I'll see what I can do. I'll keep working on that.
Keep working on that.
39% of dads believe they're doing an excellent job of raising their sons.
How many?
39%.
39%.
And so it's easy to sit and talk about, dad and being intentional and having devotions and all those things. But, the dad who's there, who's present, who's showing up, who's being courageous enough day in and day out to show up and be there for his family, provide for his kids, and do his best to love his wife, that man is showing a boy his why. And a boy needs why to understand his why. He needs that man that shows up. I can't teach a girl how to be a godly woman. I just can't. I've never been a godly woman. I will never be a godly woman. That will never be a thing. I'm not going to understand what it means to be a woman. Does that mean I'm anti-women? Absolutely not. It means I respect a woman enough to know that I don't know what it's like to be a woman, right? And it's the same thing with boys. It's harder for a woman to teach a boy to be a godly man.
I think I stole this from Mark Hancock. I'm going to give him credit for it either way.
Okay.
It's impossible to raise a godly boy into a godly man in the absence of such men.
Right. Right. Well, what's the model? What are they going? Who are they going to look to? Right.
Right. And in reality, I think we put far too much weight as a society on putting our kids in church and thinking that they're going to get that example on a Sunday morning and maybe a Wednesday night service. The church, I think, needs to embrace, we're going to help these boys become godly men a little bit better, and I think Trail Life's a solution to do that.
No, that's a really good point. I think, when you look about the church's role in all this, and again, we've talked about that, about like, why are we here? And the importance of trail life and how we speak into this culturally is, I think you're right, at some level, for a couple decades, the church is almost like, hand your kids off. We'll give them the cool youth leader, and nothing against, youth leaders. They do an amazing job.
I wear skinny jeans from time to time.
You do?
Yeah.
I love it.
From time to time.
Okay.
I don't know if I go to love it, Roy, but
Kelly can pull pretty much anything up.
Okay.
Even skinny jeans.
In February, I turned 50. I think it's time I turn off the skinny jean button.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know
either. But I don't even know where we're at.
Well, I'd love to go back to this.
Let me finish that.
Well, you go, Roy.
Let me finish that thought. But I think at some level, for the family, like, we have decentralized the importance of the mother-father role in the discipleship of their children. We have. And so the school is like, hand your kids off and we'll give them a great education.
Yep.
Hand your kids off at church, we'll save them. And all along, the secret has been, and the design has been, is because of how God has created the woman and the man, they're going to model for their children what it means to be fully male and fully female. And they will do that. Even in our own brokenness, by God's grace and mercy, our kids get to see us becoming more like Christ. And so we get to model for them, not one day a week or a couple hours a week, but 24/7, by the way we resolve conflict, the way that we treat our spouses, like all of that. They're sponges taking all of that in. And so then they go to church and, like, is what they say true? Because I look at many kids that walk away from the faith, they walk away because of hypocrisy.
That's right.
It's they see the hypocrisy of, you say one thing, but your actions say something different. And again, this is what I love about what we have the opportunity to do at Trail Life, is we get to model for them in safe relationships what that does look like. We get to define masculinity for them, and it becomes an on-ramp for men and even mothers to say, how does my son understand these things? I surround them by men where we have shared values, shared goals, and then that shared activity that produces good fruit. I mean, those seeds produce good fruit in their lives.
You bring up a great point, and I want to say this, because it is the 24/7 in the house. It is, but I think there's a lot of impressions from some very, very good dads that as long as my boy has me, he'll have enough. Sure. As long as I show up. And I say in my talk, I ask every guy in the room to look me dead in the eyes, and that's a hard thing to do when I'm talking and there's 200 dads in the room, right?
Right.
I'm trying to look at each one in the eye and say, and I tell them, you're not enough. And here's the reason why.
That's good.
Your son may not have your personality exactly. Right. My 22-year-old, when it comes to music and riding down with the windows down and singing and blaring music to the top of their lungs, he's just like me. But there's other elements of his personality that are vastly different than mine. And he needs to be able to see what biblical masculinity looks like in his context for his personality. You may be his hero, Dad. You think you're enough, you may be his hero, but you may also be a hero he doesn't know how to contextualize to his personality what it means to be godly and masculine. Because godly masculine is not what it looks like.
That's good.
It's what it does.
And actually, there's really great research to substantiate that. Search Institute out of Minneapolis, they've done, it's called the 40 Developmental Assets, and they looked at these 40 things that the more that a teen has these 40 things in their life, these assets, the more productive, the more healthier, more flourishing they are in their life. One of those is having 3 to 4 friends or 3 to 4 other positive adult models in their life. And so one of the things I've always encouraged, at least that was helpful for me as a dad and for my wife, as a mom, to say, who are 3 or 4 other adults that we can surround our kids with that are ultimately pouring those same values, those same things into their life. And so I think it substantiates what you're talking about, Kelly, that I can't be the end-all, be-all. God didn't design it that way. I need to understand that I probably play the most important factor in that. But part of my job, part of my responsibility is surrounding them with the right community that will allow them to continue to discover who they are and whose they are in Christ.
It's really good.
I think that's one of the powerful things that Trail Life allows you to do.
Agreed.
You join a troop, and your son is surrounded by godly, masculine men who, at different levels, understand the mission of what they're doing. At different levels, are embracing what it means to be a man in a godly context. And your son now gets to pick up. Well, I'm not like Dad in that way.
Yeah.
But I'm like that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like that guy in that way.
Yeah,
and so he's building this picture and this visual of what masculinity on a godly level means to him, and how he's going to live his life, and how he's going to treat his wife, and how he's going to provide for his family. And also just the opportunities that come. You know, one of the things that a freedom arrangement has to do is have a mentor. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you've got all of these guys in your troop that you can say, you know what, I want to be a chiropractor when I grow up. It might be a bad career move. I love my chiropractor, but I want to be a mechanic. I want to be a doctor.
Right.
There's probably someone in that troop or some troop over there that you can go and have really a mentorship with for a year.
I would say this isn't just true for boys, right? This is also true for the men who are part of Trail Life too.
Oh, that's right.
Because they need it too.
Well, that's what I wanted to get back to. This stat that 39% of dads feel like they're doing an excellent job, and it's easy to beat ourselves up.
Right.
And we're talking all around this. We need that sense of community. We need that band of brothers, that space that we can do life together with.
Right.
Because we're not the end all be all. We're not always enough. Another stat that I saw here that just was significant for me, and I've lived this. 80% of men say they have no one with who they can be transparent or accountable.
Wow.
Well, most men are islands unto themselves. I spent most of my adulthood being an island unto myself.
Right.
God gave me broad shoulders. I can handle it. Yeah. I can be.
Well, that's our mentality, right? I've got this. I'm going to take care of my family, and that's strength. That's noble. Like, that's really good. But when we feel like we're failing our kids, we're failing our family, or life just starts to kick us in the butt, where do guys go, and what does a men's ministry look like? And that's part of why this why matters, because there was a stat, I don't know if you remember, Kelly, the number of pastors who it's like 80% of pastors don't feel like they have a significant men's ministry at their church. The number was astronomical.
I don't remember the exact
I don't remember, but
stat.
It was really high. And how do we create this band of brothers? And that's part of what we get. We were joking earlier about, we need to go hiking and camping to build a relationship, to enjoy each other. But when we get out and we sit around the campfire at night, that's where we start to get real about things.
Right.
That's where we start to talk about those things that we're struggling with. And that's when I say, man, I feel like I'm blowing it raising my son, and I need that other guy to come around me, put his arm around me and say, you know what? You got this. I see what you did with your son the other day. Yeah. And you know what? Your son might not be perfect, and your son might have some of these problems, because that's the other reality.
Yeah.
When I worked at the boys' camp, one of the most common things we had come in is there were these great parents, but something had happened outside of the home to their son that was just so detrimental. And they once your kids get so old, you wake them up in the morning. I mean, unless you're a homeschool family, you wake them up in the morning, you get them up, you send them to school. After school, they've got band or soccer or track or football or whatever they've got going on. You get them back home after 7 o'clock at night. You help them do homework, you put them to bed, and then you hit go all over again. And then you get to the weekend, and you run to soccer games or football games or track practice or whatever those things are. And when things start to go off the rails, how do you start to put that back together? And Trail Life provides that space where we, at least once a week, are going to go do something together and have that father-son time. And once a month, we're going out hiking or camping, and we're spending time, not just you and me, but you and me and a couple other guys, where we're going to talk about things that really matter. And we're going to have a community of people that share those same ideas and same values, that are connected. And I want to say one more thing. I see you guys excited, and I want to go. But I want to talk to single moms out there too, because you're saying we're doing all this talking about how boys need a man, and how you can't raise your son to be a man, that you need men. And there's truth to that, but I don't want to be a discouragement there either. And I feel like Trail Life speaks so much in that space too. And we do have 1,700 troops all across the country. We do have 70,000 members. And I want to say findatroop.com. If you're looking for something, if you're saying, hey, I'm struggling here, whether you're a dad saying, I need this community, this sounds great, or you're a single mom saying, I'm looking for stuff like this for my son. My son needs this community. I don't know how to get it. There are churches who have this vision, and that's where we began earlier, was talk about pastors who get it. And if you're a pastor out there and you're saying, man, we need this, I just want to implore you again, traillifeusa.com. we'd love to have you come take a look. And we're here, if you're here at AmericaFest, come by the booth right behind us here on Radio Row. We'd love to have some conversation with you, because these are things we're passionate about.
We are.
One of the things I think is interesting, and this is my story, but I think it'll apply to stuff that Stephen and Roy were talking about. So I have 3 boys, 22, married, in ministry, just bought his first house in Albany, New York. What up, Nathan? In fact, we got to meet Mike Winger last night. My son and I have always connected over Mike Winger, how to think biblically about everything.
Yeah.
And so he's turned out absolutely incredible. And so I have no regrets in terms of how he turned out or anything. So don't take it that way. But with my 9 and my 5-year-old, I'm in the Trail Life Troop with them. And so we're doing all the things. As much as I hate to camp. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not the camping type. As much as I hate it, I got the hammock tent, so at least I'm not sleeping on the ground.
I do love my hammock. I'm right there with you, Kelly.
So I'll be 50 in February, so the ground and me don't get along. But I don't have any regrets with my 22-year-old, but I kind of in the past miss the relationship I could have had with my 22-year-old, the lessons I could have taught him, all the things. I don't regret anything, but I wish him and I would have had that time together out in the woods doing those things, him walking through that rite of passage of what it means to be a man, using our standard. I think that's really, really, really powerful. And so I want to say this. You start from where you are. So if you have your kid's already addicted to video games, it's great if I'm having a baby today and I'm listening to this live feed and oh, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. That's real easy to do. Like, you go in it with a clear head and a clear plan. But what happens if your kid's already addicted to video games? Maybe you found some inappropriate material on their phone. You start from where you are.
So good.
Get in a Trail Life Troop, and start getting them around this. God is full of grace. He's full of mercy. And so the minute that you as a parent, single mom, mom and dad, as soon as you get intentional, I believe God meets you there.
100%.
He'll meet you there to help those intentions become reality. And it may be a battle, it may be a struggle, it may be some things that you've got to work through, but God meets you in those moments.
That is such a powerful, because I think this is where the Christ-centered part is so important to who we are and what we do, because it is about God's grace and mercy, that God starts where you are at, wherever that is at, whatever brokenness that you bring to that table, which we all do. None of us have this figured out at all. But I think that's the beauty of it. But you need that community. You need that structure and community to see that come to life, right? To experience it yourself, right? Because as I look at a lot of men today, I think a lot of men live in shame. They're completely isolated, and the statistics show that loneliness. And so I would say to our guys or men listening is, like, what's your why? Like, what gets you up? What gets you motivated? And part of that is, like, work through whatever the hurt, whatever the brokenness, whatever that isolation and loneliness is, break through that. And part of that is, it could be, go find a troop, find a Trail Life troop where we are super intentional. It doesn't mean we're perfect, but we're super intentional about creating that community in a way that I love what you said. It is start where you are at. Yeah. But my encouragement is, if you don't know where you are at, go, reach out to us. Like part of that is, we just want to encourage you, start wherever that is. Take that first step towards that, but you're not alone in that. And I think that's one of the things I love about Trail Life, is that we're not just a boy ministry. That's right. This is a ministry for men, and having that level of community and your growth and you becoming a better husband, godly father, all those kinds of things, and seeing your faith get ignited.
Well, one of the things we're doing here, we're launching this weekend, is the Why Challenge.
That's right.
The Live Your Why Challenge. And we are encouraged, if you can go online and you find a troop near you, you're going to find a band of brothers. You're going to find men to do life with. But part of our goal in the next 7 years, we want to have a trail life troop within 30 miles of 90% of boys in America. And we know that we haven't saturated that yet. And so one of our prayers, honestly, for you guys out there to say, man, this sounds really good, and I've actually already been on your website, and there's not a trail life troop around. And the purpose of this 7-week Live Your Why challenge is to grab a couple guys. We all know 1 or 2 guys, and that we could lean into and start to have a relationship with, but we don't know how to do it. And so invite them over and sit around the campfire. And then it's just once a week. It's a quick devotion. It's not a big deal, but the idea is that it gives you some structure with these guys to start to have some intentional conversation and say, what is my why? And to talk about those things as a group of men. What are the things that make me come alive? What did God create me for? What passions do I have? And what is God doing in us as a community of men to grow the kingdom?
Yeah.
Because none of us were put here by accident. And so if you go to the-y-matters.com.
What was it again?
The-y-matters.com.
That's so good.
If you go to the whymatters.com and scroll about halfway down the page, you'll find the Live Your Why challenge there. And put in your email address and grab a couple guys and get around the campfire. Don't do the sipping coffee and trying to talk about your feelings. That's not what we are.
Right.
But go out and do some camping. Take some guns. That's the other beautiful thing about trail life. I can go to my neighbor and say, hey, you want to come to church with me this Sunday and hear my preacher? And he's like, not really. But if I say, hey, I'm going to, me and a couple buddies are going to go shoot guns this weekend. You want to come along? And, now we've got an opening.
That's right.
We got some things we could talk about. And so we're not trying to make this awkward. There are plenty of ministries, and I'm not trying to be mean, that do that really well, though, that set us as men up for awkward conversations. We want to challenge you as a man to step up and be that space and be who God's called you to be. But we want to do that in the context of adventure and meaningful conversation and getting out and doing the things that us as guys connect around.
Yeah. Can I speak to that really quickly?
Absolutely.
So I told you guys I'm not the camping type. I'm not the hiking type. I don't know of anything in trail life that I'm the type, right? just to be really clear. But I love the ministry, and God called me to be involved in biblical masculinity, and this is, in our context, how we do it. But I want to say there are a lot of dads out there who are just like me, who think, and so I'll tell you, I show up on a Thursday night at our troop meetings, and I'm not showing the boys how to do ropes. I'm not showing the boys how to throw an axe. I'm not showing the boys how to shoot a bow and arrow.
You do enjoy throwing an axe, though, right, Kelly?
I do. Yeah.
I mean, there's just something.
I do. I don't have much of a shoulder left anymore, but I do enjoy it. But you don't have to be dad, right? And I talk to parents all the time who say, my son's not the outdoors type. Doesn't have to be.
That's right. Right. That's right.
This is bigger than the adventure side of it. It's character, it's leadership, it's biblical principles that are tied into it. And so trail life doesn't just look like outdoor rappelling, setting things on fire, putting fires out, canoeing and all that. It doesn't. That's not just the context that we are. It's the relationship and the camaraderie. And I will guarantee you, there is a high percentage of men. 67% of all statistics are made up.
That's right. We covered that.
There's a high percentage of men.
I'm impressed you've been consistent with that, though, Kelly.
That's right. It's always 67.
It's always 67.
Yeah.
Very good. 6'7".
6'7". Oh,
no. I don't mean it. I'm saying 69% of all statistics are made up. There are a ton of men who need camaraderie in their life. And if you'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. Go to findatroop.com, right?
Findatroop.com.
Findatroop.com. And find a troop that's local to you. And if you don't have one, put a challenge down to your pastor. Say, Pastor, it's time we get serious about raising godly, masculine men in this church.
That's right.
And I want you to try out. I want you to check out Trail Life.
Well, and if your men's ministry doesn't exist to grow generations of godly men, what are you doing?
Right.
Really?
Right?
I mean, it's a pancake breakfast once a week where as men, we ask men to come in and eat pancakes and talk about our feelings. Is that really what a men's ministry looks like?
Right. No.
I don't think so. I think there's more to it. And I think if we're not getting sons and we're not doing intergenerational things, we're missing the boat when it comes to men's ministry.
Well, here's the sad thing. There's an assumption and an apathy that kind of somewhere make a gumbo. I'm from Louisiana, so it makes a gumbo of this feeling.
So you like gumbo?
I do.
But this isn't a good gumbo.
This isn't a good gumbo.
Okay, just
Quit getting me off topic.
I apologize, Kelly.
No. It makes this gumbo of just assumption and maybe a little bit of, and I don't want to say arrogance, but that we think the pancake breakfast is a good.
You're right. You're right.
A good men's ministry, or a good boys ministry, or the fact that we put. I'm going back to when I was raised, because we're putting cutouts on a felt piece of cloth.
I remember that back in the good old days.
Back in the good old days.
Absolutely.
Or we're singing
flannel graph.
Or we're singing songs. Or we're doing that. It's enough to raise that boy. We talked about it being here. How do we stand out at Trail Life? At this event that's very loud and noisy? We got a guy wearing an American flag cape. We just had Santa Claus walk by in a kilt, in a sequins hat. How do we stand out from the crowd?
Right.
And I think that's also true. Your son lives in a world. He lives in a world that is noisy. There's gray areas all around. There's competing influences and competing messages from what he hears on Sunday to Monday at school. So what does he listen to? And at some point, you've got to say, we're going to make the messages we want for our son stand out louder and bolder than anything else.
Right. And in the church, all they have to look forward to is the monthly men's prayer breakfast. We are participating in the castration of what biblical masculinity looks like. I don't mean to be like extreme in that, but that is exactly what we have done. We've lost a vision in heart for what masculinity and what God has called us to. And so the church has to be active and intentional and reframing that and casting a beautiful vision. Like if all you're doing is men's prayer breakfast, I'm just telling you, you're selling it short. You're not where the men in your church are looking towards that. And that doesn't mean, grab a gun and do all those things. No, it is providing a space where there is shared activity, shared learning, an opportunity to do life. And as we do life together, those dopamine things begin to hit. Like all of a sudden relationships are safe. It tears away the loneliness and isolation many men are experiencing right now. And what beautiful place to do that is within the church.
That's right.
In a safe community that ultimately is the pursuit of Christ. And then you introduce the Spirit in Christ into that equation. I mean, I think of Ephesians 3:20, then God is going to do immeasurably more than all we could ever ask or imagine. And I think you'll have a huge impact in the community and church.
I wrote a blog post the other day to your point, and one of the quotes I put in it, when did we start thinking a sewing circle was an effective men's small group?
Right.
In church. We're going to get guys in a room, we're going to circle the chairs, and we're going to talk about our feelings.
Right.
Nothing against sharing feelings.
No, feelings are good.
Feelings are good.
But the problem with pancakes and parking cars as a men's ministry, and I'm not, those are fine.
They're right.
But what's missing is a challenge. Did Jesus come die on the cross so I could park cars? And again, I'm not opposed to parking cars, right?
Sounds like you are.
Is that what God's called me to as a man? Is that my highest calling?
Right.
And as men, we're looking for something worthy of our lives. We're looking for something that is going to call us higher, that is challenging, it's worthy of our time and talent and treasure.
Well, and I think, and for us, Charlie Kirk embodied, when we talk about that, who embodied that? That was Charlie. It was Charlie Kirk in so many ways.
So we're gonna take a 2-minute break, 5-minute break.
Yep.
And we got our 2 p.m. interview. Nathan Groville is here with us.
Nathan
Groville.
All right.
Great to meet absolutely.
You. Give us just a minute to reset, and we'll get you in here. Glad you're here.
The competition is coming to an end. I am the last contestant. So I'm gonna make some trail bread, and then Morgan's gonna judge it, and we're gonna see just who is the best brother at cooking on the trail. You're watching Trail Hacks. Trail bread is one of my favorite things to make while on the trail. I think Morgan's gonna really appreciate this because after a long day of hiking, you just want something that's delicious and salty and savory and fills your stomach. And that's exactly what trail bread does. So I'm gonna get started here. The first step is to add 2.5 cups of flour to your bowl. Here we go. This should be enough to feed all 4 of us boys. Step number 2 is to add 1 teaspoon of salt and whatever else you happen to have in your counter at the time. So I had some smoked paprika and chili flakes, so I just put some of that in here as well. Oh, and that's gonna add all that flavor to the bread. Yum. I have 1 teaspoon of sugar here. I'm gonna add that as well. Now for the most important ingredient. There's a little bit there, but this is yeast. And this is what's gonna make the bread nice and light and fluffy. Really, really important ingredient. What's crazy about yeast is actually it's a living organism. And so in a little bit, using some warm water, I'm gonna wake it up. And it's gonna get through all the flour and all the dough, and it's gonna make it rise and make it really light and fluffy. There we go, that's all of my dry ingredients. So after you've stirred up all the dry ingredients, we're gonna go on to the wet ingredients. And to start with, add 2 tablespoons of oil. And then you're gonna stir it up until it gets all clumpy. Now we just need 1 more ingredient, some warm water. So I'm gonna head over to the fireplace and heat myself up some water. I have about a cup full left in my water bottle, and it's just what you need. You need 1 cup of water. So I'm gonna heat that up. Really, really important, and this is where it's kind of touch and go. If the water's too cold, it won't wake up the yeast to have that rising action. But if it's too hot, it'll actually kill the yeast. So it's like fine balance of having the water kind of warm to the touch. If you want to be able to stick your finger in it and not burn yourself, but it'd be nice and warm. All right, I think it's done. Perfect. It's crazy because just 1 little bit of yeast leavens the whole loaf, and it spreads its way throughout all of the dough and makes it rise. It's an amazing thing. But it's kind of like an example of what sin is to us. We may think that, oh man, just that sin I did, just a little thing, doesn't affect anybody. But just a little bit of sin can actually affect our whole being, and it corrupts us, and it separates us from God. But thankfully, through what Christ did on the cross, is that he took the punishment that we deserve for our sin, and he bore it himself. And he took that punishment himself and died in our place. And then if we have faith in God and trust in Jesus as our one way of salvation, then he promised us to make us like new, and that we can be like born again, so that we don't have to have our sin affect us anymore. We be like new creations. So that's super exciting. It's a great hope that all of us as believers have. All right, there we go. Look at that beautiful bit of bread. So now we're gonna wait, let it rise. Let that yeast start to wake up, do its thing, and make the bread all beautiful and fluffy. So I'll let that sit there for about, say 15 minutes. All right, this is what I'm gonna cook my bread on. So you wanna find a stick, like something that you would wanna roast a marshmallow on. Man, it's starting to get dark, storm's coming. We've been cooking all day for this competition, so I need to finish this up. The dough is risen, it's beautiful. I'm gonna start making the trail bread. So grab a chunk, start rolling it out until it's kind of a skinny, long, worm-like looking thing. I think I need a little something extra just to get it across the finish line. So actually I brought some bacon with me. I'm gonna wrap that with my trail bread, and it's gonna have all the delicious juices sinking in and give a little bit of protein. And I think it's just gonna make me have that final bit of goodness that's gonna help me win. There we go. Are you believing how good that looks? Wow. All right, almost to the finish line. Now I just have to make sure this doesn't burn. Make sure not to put the bread on the open flame. Otherwise the outside will get nice and crispy, but the inside will still be raw and doughy. So kind of just put it off to the side where it's still hot, but it's just not on the open flame where it's gonna burn. This is bad, it's starting to rain. It's gonna drench the fire in a few seconds. But this is the true test of an outdoor cooker. Can you cook in the elements? So I'm still going strong, we're gonna make this happen. I think it's good enough. All right, let's see what Morgan thinks. Sorry it's raining, Morgan.
So
glad you waited though. Dude, this is trail bread mixed with delicious bacon. And it's piping hot, so be careful.
Whoa.
Good?
Damn. The warm, comforting bread. I'm tasting the spices. You got some red pepper flakes.
Is it too spicy?
No, it's perfect. And that bacon. Oh, it's magical. Yeah.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
Well guys, thanks for showing off your trail cooking skills. I was really impressed. You guys all are quite talented.
Thank you.
This was hard for me to decide. I don't like judging like this, but I'll start with Asher. Your tea, man, was awesome. I loved it.
Ooh, tea.
It was incredibly comforting. It had this like light edge of citrus to it. Very good. Hudson, yeah, your feast pit was incredible. I love the proteins, mixing them with the vegetables.
Dude,
it was really good. Yours, unfortunately, was not quite perfectly executed. There's a little bit of raw meat involved. I'm not a huge fan of that. So, unfortunately, that took up a couple points for me. Kian, your trail bread, I just ended with that. It was incredible. It was so light and fluffy. The yeast had worked its way through that dough. It had risen perfectly, and then intertwined with that bacon. It was so good. So
nice, Ken.
That being said, you guys all are amazing trail chefs. Proud of you, but I think the winner is Kian. Kian, that trail bread. That was excellent.
Good job, boys. Good job, guys.
Guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to Trail Hacks. Join a troop, and if you like the Wild Brothers, watch our videos through Wild Brothers Productions. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and in the comments below, tell what meal you guys thought was the best out of all the ones. I want to hear your guys' feedback.
Awesome. See you in the next
Catch
trail
you later.
hack.
See you on the trail.
I came in as a boy, and I'm leaving as a young man.
Trail life, the boys grow spiritually, physically, mentally.
Christ is their hero, not us so much, but that we point them to Christ and that they can go off and raise the next generation.
Other than my guidance at home as their father and Christ, I see it as the third largest thing that has molded them to be growing into men.
Hey everyone, I'm Hudson Wild, and today we're out here in a snowy wilderness. I'm going to be teaching you guys a little bit about layering up in the cold. You guys are watching Trail Hacks. I've been up here in the snowy wilderness for a little over 2 weeks now, learning a lot about the cold weather, the snow, hiking around, seeing some amazing mountain views, and I've learned quite a bit about how to work in the snow in the cold environment. So I can't wait to talk to you guys a little bit about the importance of layering up. Layering up and having the correct cold weather gear can really mean the difference between life and death. It's so easy to get hypothermia, so staying warm is vital to hiking out in the snow. So I'm going to walk you guys through a little bit of what I'm wearing right now. Let's start with my boots and then go up. These boots are insulated boots. They're waterproof and they go out halfway up my leg. They've been keeping my feet warm, keeping the snow from getting down into my socks. They've been great. So it's really important to have good snow boots for plugging around in the snow. And then second, underneath my boots, I have wool socks. It's so important to keep your toes and your feet warm when you're out in the snow. So I have my socks on, then underneath my snow pants, I have long johns, or like long underwear, and they're thermal, so they keep my legs nice and warm. Over my thermal underwear, my long johns, I have these snow pants. These things are great. They're waterproof, so I can sit in the snow right now. I don't even feel it. I'm staying nice and dry.
Hey, well, welcome back to Turning Point AmericaFest with Trail Life here. And you may see, notice I've changed hats. And I'm excited about wearing this hat. I get to keep it. They're telling me I get to keep this hat.
It's because it looks so good.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here with Nathan Gravel. Mm-hmm. I got that right. Mm-hmm. Nathan Gravel with Jevity. Mm-hmm. I am so impressed by this guy's story. So 27 years old. You have a massive company that you're running. And I think this is such a good message for all of our trailmen out there. To see that a guy can get serious about life, get serious about work, have a dream, and go out and fulfill that dream. So tell us a little bit about your story and what's going on with you.
Oh, goodness. Tell you about my story. Where does that begin? Well, I went to a Christian